Happy Sunday. Welcome to Southern Gospel Sissy. I'm Justin Ryan. Today's episode features J.D. Sumner and the Stamps Quartet. In 1962, Frank Stamps sold stock in his Stamps Quartet Music Company to James Blackwood, Cecil Blackwood, and J.D. Sumner of the Blackwood Brothers. Stamps did not leave the company immediately, but the new investors did quickly organize a new Stamps Quartet. In 1965, J.D. and James Blackwood swapped bass singers. Sumner went to the Stamps and John Hall went to the Blackwood Brothers. Once Sumner joined the group, they were billed as J.D. Sumner and the Stamps Quartet. As the 1970s rolled around, the Stamps saw several changes. Most notable was their launch into global stardom as the key backup group for Elvis Presley. The Stamps would typically perform gospel music as a warm-up act for Elvis. Then they would add their own backing vocals once Elvis took the stage. In 1980, the Stamps continued for a short time with Stamps musician David Ponder moving to sing with Sumner, Ed Enoch, and Jennifer O'Brien, who is also one of my dearest background singing friends that I've sung with a million times in the studio and who currently sings for Dolly Parton. But Sumner and Hovey Lister soon hatched the idea for the Masters 5. They initially intended for it to be a part-time group appearing at a few select events each year, but were soon working a full-time schedule. Both the Stamps and the Statesman's names were dormant while J.D. and Hovey, joined by Jake Hess, James Blackwood, and Rosie Roselle, performed as the Masters 5. In the summer of 1987, while the Masters 5 group was still active, the Stamps Quartet name was briefly revived. Meanwhile, both James Blackwood and Jake Hess had exited the Masters 5. J.D. Sumner and Hovey Lister carried on for a while, but J.D. ultimately decided to transition back to the Stamps brand where he sang for many years. When J.D. Sumner passed away in 1998, the final lineup consisted of Rick Strickland on tenor, Ed Enoch on lead, Ed Hill on baritone, J.D. of course on bass, and Jerry Kelso on piano. During the final years of the group, they toured the United States and Europe, appearing at numerous Elvis tribute events, in addition to headlining on the Gospel Concert Circuit. Sometimes it's a circus, though. The Stamps also made regular appearances on the Gaither Homecoming series, where Sumner was a fixture in the bass section. I particularly love J.D. and the Stamps because they were my grandmother Peggy's favorite group. Back in the 70s, she used to travel all over to see them. She was in the audience when they recorded their famous Live from Murray State album, and as an active member of their fan club, she hosted a concert with the Stamps at her church here in town at the Woodlawn Cumberland Presbyterian Church. Because of this, we grew up singing a whole lot of their songs. One time, she even took me to see the Stamps at a local telethon here in our hometown. Every year, our hometown of Paducah, Kentucky puts on a telethon for a local charity that helps children in need and features gospel groups, country artists, and randomly, stars from Days of Our Lives, since all our grandmothers watched that sand in the hourglass. That year, I was excited because I was going to get to hang with J.D. and the Stamps who were singing there and meet some stars of Days of Our Lives, so I thought. But when we got there, they had everything roped off. As a 12-year-old, it's easy to sneak past people, so I snuck past the security and ended up in the green room with all the food for the entertainers. I got to talk with the Days of Our Lives stars that were there, and finally, one of the security people figured out that I wasn't supposed to be back there and was getting ready to escort me out. I tried to explain that my grandmother worked for JD's fan club, even though she was just really a loyal fan, and that we were there with him. They went and got JD, and he came down and looked at me and said, "Yeah, we know him. He can come with me." I was scared because I'd met JD several times as a kid but did not know him well. I got to spend the rest of the evening with the Stamps and listen to their stories. JD will never know what he did for a little gay kid wanting to sing gospel music. One of my grandmother's favorite songs was the one I'll be singing today, "I Can Feel the Touch of His Hand." This song was written by J.D. Sumner, and he often said that this was his favorite song that he had ever written. It was inspired by the 23rd Psalm and reminds us that no matter what we face in life, we can always feel the touch of God's hand in our lives. I know at times we can feel alone and defeated, but if we will take those problems to God, our burdens will definitely be lighter. I hope this week and every week you can feel the touch of God's hand on your own life. My cup runneth over, my strength is renewed. Though it seems total darkness for me, thy rod and thy staff bring me comfort. At the end, there is victory for me. There's a place where I go to be alone with Jesus when my burdens, they seem so heavy to bear. And oh, what strength I find in my trials, and what victory in times of despair. Surely goodness